Hi everyone, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to another video. Today it is World Card Making Day and we are celebrating with Joy Clair stamps with my favorite stamp sets from Joy Clair Stamps. So before I get into my favorite stamp sets that I used on the cards, I did want to share with you a few more of my favorites from Joy Clair. This first one is called You Got This. This is one of my favorite encouragement stamp sets that just has encouragement sentiments. It is awesome, it is Christian based, and it is part of the Color by Face series from Joy Clair. This next set is a coffee-based stamp set, and it is called Feelin' Slothy. I absolutely love the images in that. They're adorable. Now, this next stamp set is brand new from Joy Clair. It is called Hope. This one is fabulous. It is designed perfectly to not only be for breast cancer awareness or survivors or people who are going through it, but also those ribbons can be colored any color that you might want them to be for any recipient and what they're going through. So I love this one. I think it's really well designed and it can go with a variety of different things you need it for. This next stamp set I've already used several times. It is No Problema. I love the images in this. They are so cute. They could be dressed up and kind of used for more adult themed cards, or you can also bring them down to more of a children's card as well. So really versatile. I love the sentiments in it. But my last stamp set is one I'm going to be using today. This is a new favorite. It was just released and it is called Fall Greetings. It has some really wonderful images and the sentiments in it are awesome as well. Another favorite I'm going to be using with this is an older one. It's a background set. It's the Broken Brick background. Now this one, Hello Sentiments, is another favorite. I didn't use it today. I thought I was going to. I didn't end up. But the one stamp set I'm starting with is one I have used often. Now, the great thing about Joy Clair stamps is they all have a very similar aesthetic. They all have a lot of the same looks to them line-wise, so you can really mix and match so many of these stamp sets, and they work together perfectly. So along with that springtime flowers, I'm going to be stamping a lot of the images from the Fall Greetings stamp set several times as well. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink and my Misty to do all my stamping. Because I am stamping so many, I can get more done at once with my Misty. So I stamped 3 of the large flowers, then I moved on to the Fall Greetings stamp set. I stamped 3 of the branches with the leaves on them that you can color. I also stamped 5 of the leaves and then 2 of the little smaller branches. And then it was time to color. Now because I use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, I'm going to be coloring in with my alcohol markers. To color in a lot of images like this, I like to grab my darkest color, color in all the dark shading that I need on all of the images. Then I come back in with my lighter color and do my blending that way. I do it across all of my images like that, except for my main focal points. So the other images are going to be kind of background, but my flowers are going to be the main focus. So that's where I'm going to spend my time and effort coloring. Even so, it still didn't take me that long to color these. They're very simple images to color. I am using my Dick Blick Studio brush markers here. You can use whatever alcohol markers you have on hand. You could even use colored pencils and it would give you a very similar look. I'm no coloring artist. I keep it super duper simple. So I started with my darkest color, add in my shading, then I work towards my lightest color on this. Sometimes I might start with my lightest and work towards my darkest and then back towards my lightest. But for this, I didn't need a whole lot of blending because I wanted a few of those flick marks that I was making to still show up in the flowers. So I didn't want this completely blended out. So I just started with my darkest and worked towards my lightest. I also wanted to keep it not so saturated with color. I really wanted that lightest color to stay very, very light. Once I had the petals done, it was time to work on the inside. Again, kept it very simple, 3 colors, browns, super simple. I did use the darkest brown to come in where it already had that natural shading from the marks of the stamp, and I added the darkest there as well. Now, I colored all 3 of those and I fussy cut all the images. While I'm doing some die cutting with this cat scrappiness die, it's the wood grain frame die, I want to mention that Clair Stamps does offer free SVG cut files for all of their stamp sets. Automatic download, so if you have an electronic cutting machine and you really love those SVG files, you get them totally free, no extra charge. With that cat scrappiness die, I die cut a piece of craft cardstock, which I'll use the frame. I also die cut a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to use the center of that frame. I'll save the white frame for another project later on down the road. But I want that center to inlay back into the frame, but I want to do some stamping and ink blending on it. On that little piece, that white cardstock piece, I did prep it with my embossing bag, and then I'm going to stamp with some Versamark ink and the broken brick background. With these backgrounds, I like to ink up the stamp, lay the paper over the top of it, put a piece of computer paper on top of that, and then press with my hands to get a really good impression. I find this the easiest way and simplest way without taking the stamp off the backing paper. Super duper simple and easy to use that way. Now over that embossing powder, I'm going to add white, or over that embossing ink, I'm going to add white embossing powder, I guess I should say, and I heat set that. Then it was time to do some ink blending. I'm using my Amazon makeup blending brushes and 2 distress inks. I have aged mahogany and fired brick. When I'm doing large backgrounds like this, where I really want a lot of saturation, I like to go with the smaller brushes that came in this set and really keep it focused. Now, you'll see that this is covering up that white embossing powder just a little bit, but because it's a nice smooth surface, we can go ahead and take a cloth once we have our ink blending done and just buff away any ink that's sitting on top of it, and it'll go right back to its nice stark white. I love the emboss resist technique. It's a really easy way to create some nice contrast on your card, and it's just fun to do. It's always fun to emboss and ink blend, in my opinion. So once that was done, the last thing that I needed to do before I started putting the card together was add a little ink blending to the frame of this. Now I die cut the frame from craft cardstock, and it has a little embossing on there already. But to really get that to shine, I like to add a little ink over it, and that helps that embossing pop out even more. Now it's time to put this card together. I am putting everything onto an A2 side folding card base that I'm using horizontally. I'll go ahead and attach the frame first. I'm using Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. Any liquid adhesive will do here. Just make sure it's nice and strong. You're going to have a lot of layers going on. So I attached the frame, then I went ahead and inlaid that brick background right into the center of that. I'll throw an acrylic block over the top of that to help everything secure nicely. Then it's time to arrange my flowers. Now I am just arranging and placing these. No adhesive is on them at all right now. So I can freely move them around. If I don't like something, I don't like these 2 colors next to each other, whatever, I can continue to move these until I'm happy with the placement. So I like to go ahead and do this. Now, disclaimer, this is not my idea. I've seen somebody else do this. But what I found really helpful to do, or I guess I should say what I learned is helpful from said person. I don't remember who it was. I will try and find it and link it down below. But they used press and seal to place that over the flowers and pick them all up. So what I struggled with when making clusters like this was getting them all laid out, really loving the way it looked, and then picking them up one by one and placing them down. And then by the time I was done, it didn't even look like I had originally planned for it to. So this way I can pick all of them up, add adhesive to the backs that are out, and then it's all staying put right there on the press and seal. And then I'll place it right back over the card base. This has adhesive on it, and press it down. Now the press and seal isn't so tacky that it's going to rip your images. You do want to be a little bit careful when you're peeling this up. I did get a few little spots, but if you take your time and peel it up nicely, it comes up really easily, but it also holds everything in place, so it's not going to fall off. Now, here's the few pieces that didn't really get stuck down. They were kind of in the middle section here. So I'm going to just pull those up. It was only 3 images. The top one I wanted um, dimensional, so I didn't even bother with adhesive on it. But I had 2 images that still needed some adhesive on them. But these back ones, anywhere that I feel like it needs a little bit more, I'll just lift them up slightly, place a little dot of adhesive behind there, and then press them back down. Really easy to do. And it saves me a lot of time in trying to pick these up one by one and then arrange them. And even if I took a photo, it still never turned out right. So this has really saved me a lot of time and effort in putting together these clusters. So now it was time to go ahead and put up my little middle section here that didn't get enough adhesive on them. Just that little branch and then also my flower. So I'll go ahead and put those down, and as I'm working, I'm placing an acrylic block on top to make sure everything gets nice and secure and glued down properly. Finally, I'll add that third and final flower with some dimensional foam adhesive on the back of it, and that's the cluster. It was super easy to do and honestly took no time at all with the help of that press and seal and just doing it that way. Super easy to do. I loved the dimension that that third and final flower add also. I think it helps the whole card kind of pop out. Now, the last thing that was left to do was add my sentiment. And like I said, I planned on using the Hello sentiments, one of my favorites, but the fall greetings just have some really great sentiments in it. So I grabbed the Grateful for You from it, stamped it with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink on a flag banner that I die cut from white cardstock. Then I'll go ahead and place it right down onto the card base in the top right hand corner to finish off the card. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this card on World Card Making Day, and I used some of my favorite Joy Claire's stamps, some old, some newer, and I do want to leave my link down below to last year's favorites stamp sets for Joy Claire. They haven't changed. I just wanted to change it up and use some new ones in this video today. That does it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and happy crafting.